Hi, I'm Leisha Welcherman, and this is my intro video for EDL 853. My husband and I have been married for 15 years. We were high school sweethearts in small town Iowa. Go Hawks! And Cyclones! He's a year older than I am, so he got offered a position teaching in KCK. I was excited that he got a job, but really overwhelmed by the amount of interstates in Kansas City, especially because our small town only has one stoplight. It's worked out. We've been here for several years now. He's currently an elementary teacher in Olathe. We have two children, Avina and Maddox. Avina is 11, going on 23. She's a very talented singer and loves to play soccer. And Maddox is just a goofball. He's 7 years old. He loves Pokemon, and he's starting to break boards in Taekwondo. As a family, we just love to play. We love playing cards, playing board games. Weather permitting, we go outside and play yard games. And now my husband and I like to have day dates and play Golden Tee indoors. I work for Turner USD 202, which is in Kansas City, Kansas. We are a very small district sandwiched between KCK and Shawnee Mission school districts. I travel daily between 4 different elementary schools. I was first hired as a 3rd grade teacher and looped up to 4th grade, where I taught for 9 years. I'm currently an instructional coach, and this is my 6th year as an instructional coach. I absolutely love what I do. I loved teaching in the classroom, but I was always looking for a bigger impact. It wasn't just my roster of students, it was our 4th grade students, and I was blessed with a very collaborative team from the get-go. We constantly worked. We always had working lunches because I couldn't stop talking about shop. As an instructional coach, I love doing what I do because I get to collaborate on a daily basis with lots of different educators. I work with approximately 30 teachers, and I collaborate with other instructional coaches on projects, as well as with the admin. At the beginning of the year, the kiddos know me as the iPad lady because I come in and do a lot of iPad safety with my 4th and 5th grade students. I also love Breakout EDU because I think it's great for the 21st century skills that we're working on. Those soft skills and problem solving and critical thinking and perseverance, and all kids shine in different aspects when we do a Breakout challenge. And I'm also extremely passionate about cooperative learning because I feel no matter who you are, no matter what your ability, you're able to learn from each other, and everyone is able, they're given a voice, and they start to build confidence when they work closely with their grade level peers. On a scale of 1 to 10, I would give us a 5 when it comes to my critical reflection of how we currently do. Our resources that we have to support our curriculum are McGraw-Hill. So we have My Math for Math and Wonders, which is a basal series for ELA. They're great. They're a great starting off point, but unfortunately a lot of our teachers use them as the end-all be-all. And it's not what's best for our students. We're still working on unpacking the standards, and we're definitely seeing holes in these resources as we try to teach Common Core. There definitely is little differentiation in classrooms, and I'm making a general statement, but when I look at all my teachers as a whole, we talk about differentiation. We talk about guided math and guided reading, but if I were to go in and observe, it's the same lesson being taught multiple times, no matter which students are in front of the teacher. So I just want us to dig in deeper and focus on what skills the kids are missing. The words learning strategies are a little scary at this point because I've asked multiple times our district administration and even our building administration, what best practices do you see in classrooms? And we don't have those best practices defined. So since they're not defined or identified, we also don't have any professional development around that. I definitely see a lack of collaboration between teachers. Grade level teams collaborate quite a bit because we have weekly meetings. Sometimes the special ed teachers are there, sometimes they're not. And a lot of times when we'll talk about low achieving kiddos, I'll ask, hey, have you talked to the SPED teacher to see how else you can support these students in your classroom? And the answer usually is, oh, no, I haven't talked to them yet. So I just feel like the people who are servicing all of our different kiddos, they don't always talk or are on the same page with what the students need. In our data, we take MAP we have now for 2 years, NWEA MAP. Our data is still showing that we have a high percentage of our low achieving students not making adequate growth. And when this test is nationally normed and our growth is based on where they score in fall and they're still not making that growth, I see a huge issue with that. So we have a lot of work to do. When I reflect personally on how I do, I scored myself on that same scale of 1 to 10. I scored myself a 7. I still have a lot to learn, but I do feel like as a classroom teacher, I was data informed. I relied heavily on classroom assessments and teacher observation to figure out what made each of my students tick. And pre-tests in math were huge for me because I like to see already what my kiddos know, but what skills they're lacking as we progress forward with this grade level standard. I also relied heavily on, we did a lot of personalized growth goals with students. So what works for one student may not work for a different student, but we definitely celebrated growth throughout the school year for every student. I volunteered to be part of the differentiation cohort in my district a few years back. It's been several years back now, but that really allowed me to dive deeper into trying to figure out and hone my skills on how to meet the needs of all the learners in my classroom. And it was just great to be able to collaborate with other people across the district who are passionate about that as well. I did cooperative learning a lot during core instruction, and I kept my core instruction, so I'm talking whole group instruction, to a minimum. I just did it long enough to expose everyone to grade level standards and, again, incorporate the cooperative learning. But I kept it short and sweet so that I can spend more time in small group instruction where I tried to go deeper to what students needed. All of the students in my grade level when I taught in the classroom were our students, so I worked closely with my team on a regular basis to reflect on data, to discuss student needs, and to make adjustments as needed. And sometimes that was individuals went to other classrooms for a short period of time, or they came to my classroom just because we found different things that made students succeed. Also, I feel like I'm not afraid to ask questions. So if I come to a point where I don't know what else to do with a student to help them be successful in the classroom, I reach out to other people, either my grade level peers or specialists in the building, to figure out what else can I do differently. The one thing that I did not do well, for sure, was I didn't look too closely at students' IEPs. If I got a copy at the beginning of the year, it went into my locked drawer to peek at on a rainy day, which in education, we don't have many of those. So I should have looked a lot closer at that to figure out what goals they're working on when they were pulled out, if they were pulled out, and just to have a better idea of what the kiddo needed. But I relied heavily on teacher instinct, and I still have a lot to learn when it comes to meeting the needs of learners. And I say that because education is ever evolving. We've got technology now, and how can we use that to support our students as well? My plan for improvement is comprehensive because I don't want to focus on just one group of students. I want a plan in place that as students show a deficit in a skill, we can quickly respond to that and get them back on track and then pull them back. So what I'd like to do is I would like to use our TLTs more effectively, the PLCs. We have weekly meetings, grade level meetings, every single week in every single building. And there are times when those TLTs are not used effectively. It's more like coffee talk. So I would like to take what we do as a district and make a strategic plan as a district and make that happen at the grade level, specific grade level building team. Come up with a strategic plan. Select a content area to focus on, and then the team sets a goal based on where they currently are for student achievement. At that point, since we're focusing on content, let's look at the standards that are coming up and unpack those standards. What prerequisite skills are needed for students to be successful for the grade level skill? And then layer those skills so as students progress through it, they can show mastery in increments. I would like to review any data we have, whether it's MAP, whether it's Success Maker, whether it's common assessments. We're so data rich, but we never go deeply into much of the data, which is very, very frustrating. So what data do we have to inform us on where we need to go? Do we need a pretest, which addresses prerequisite skills as well? Identify ways as we're going through this chapter or unit to differentiate for learners. And what role does tech play in this? Because we have one-to-one iPads for the grade levels that I work with. So are there different situations where tech can improve what's happening with our instruction? I want to research strategies specific to the content area to help improve student learning. What strategies can we incorporate during core instruction, and what strategies can we incorporate in small group instruction? But above all, we need collaboration. We need to constantly be talking as we go through this process. We need to hold ourselves accountable to the timeline that we're setting. So if we are going to be attacking these standards for 6 weeks, at what point are we going to have checkpoints to figure out how students are doing? And then based on that data, how are we going to move forward? I put a lot of thought into this because I feel like this is the part that's missing in our TLTs. And if we have a plan in place, we can really help all of our learners grow in the way that they need to and help all students be successful. It may not be that everyone's on grade level, but they've made huge growth from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. With my plan, funding wouldn't really be much of an issue. We would actually be using our time more effectively because we are very specific and direct, and we know where we're going in TLTs. And plus, we're utilizing the expertise of all of our teachers. We definitely need to make sure that ELL teachers, SPED teachers, whoever works with our students need to be involved in this process, and they need to know exactly what role all of us are playing. If we found some strategies that we felt like we needed professional development on, that's where funding would come into play. I have been talking to my building administrators at the elementary level about how important it would be to have a district initiative around anything for PD. We keep talking about the workshop model. If that's the way that we want to go, then as an elementary team, can we say, hey, we want this as a district initiative, and let's specifically set aside time during our PD days to all get professional development on the workshop model or whatever it happens to be. Thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you in our Google community.